Hello! Welcome to an impromptu Monday stream. Definitely a last minute idea. Whoa, I look like I'm at an angle today. I'll still look at an angle. Okay, that's kind of better. But yeah, I thought just to do a little quick Planet of Lana stream, since the game will be released tomorrow, 23rd of May, on Game Pass. So anyone who has a subscription can try it out, or of course you can buy it on Steam or whatever platform you prefer. Hello. So I thought it could be interesting to take a very quick look at Planet of Lana, since I talked a little bit about it in the review, but I couldn't really go in depth about how I feel design-wise about Planet of Lana, especially in regard to the fact that I've been reading rather than hearing, a lot of people refer to it as a cinematic platformer, which I know is a term that gets thrown around a lot in regards to games such as, Play Dead's Limbo, Inside, or going back many years to Art of Darkness, Eric Chai Art of Darkness, which was his sort of spiritual sequel to Another World. And but there were other inspirations, I think, in Planet of Lana, which I think are also interesting to take a look at. So let's dive in right away. Let's not waste any time. Okay, I think we already got the window. My webcam is a little bit too... Whoa, the game just went full screen. I don't know why. It was okay until it wasn't. Give me just a sec. I don't know why it decided to reset its resolution. Okay. Are we back? Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. I don't know why it decided to... It needed to reset itself. Okay, my webcam is still a little bit too big. Okay, yeah, this looks okay. So the game has been in development for quite some time. It was unveiled in 2019, if I remember correctly, so 3 years ago, which is already quite a long time. But it was actually in development for almost 7 years, if I remember correctly. And yeah, there's not a lot of accessibility options, but that will be fixed on release, so expect that. And let's start a new game. Is the volume okay? Are we a little bit... Perhaps it's a little bit quiet. See if we can boost it a little bit. So of course, going back to the classic original cinematic platformer, there wasn't a lot of plot before we began the game. But yeah, of course, I mean, Another World had the infamous, very long intro sequence, which made it an instant hit for a lot of people. Here, of course, the game begins with what we could, call basic tutorial. Just move around, learn how to crouch, how to jump. I mean, all the usual stuff you would expect. Cinematic. Oh, my voice is a little bit low. That's strange. I don't think I touched anything. Oh, it might be. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But this should be better. Let me just do this very quick. Okay, we should be all right. Okay. So we don't really need a lot of story here, of course. What we do know is that we control Lana, which is our main character, and we're after Elo, which, I mean, when you play you might get your own idea, but what I think is that Elo is her brother. Might be just her friend, but I don't know. There's a couple clues here that it's not really a spoiler, so don't worry about that. It's not spoiling anything. Those little bits are, of course, quite great setup of little details of the world that we're about to leave. This is also a little bit of a classic stealth tutorial. That the game tells us that we're going to sneak after the cook. I also read a couple of reviews which talked about the stealth element, and I mean, again, you will form your own judgment, but I don't really think the game has stealth elements. I mean, there's stealth mechanics, but there's not really stealth segments per se. There's not really a section of the gameplay where you have to sneak around enemies. Not that I would call them that. Of course, you can hide in the bushes, but that's really just because you need to reach an objective by completing a puzzle. So you're just taking your time sneaking around enemies, but sneaking is not a main mechanic at all, I would say. So you can see little foreground elements, background elements. Will create quite beautiful picture of Nova, which is the world where the game takes place. And here you can see, here are the bushes that you can sneak in, but we will look at those a little bit later. So here it says stop another classic puzzle, bring the little platform that you can jump on. Classic, pretty straightforward. So this is the bit that I think pretty much tells us that the two are brothers. They're brothers and sisters. But again, it's not a huge clue. They might be just friends, really. It's not. But what we do know that's clearly the Lana's parents' tombs. So I guess doesn't really say that both her parents, of course. Here's where the game basically just stops being little positive nature trip and already goes to the classic sci-fi overtones that, yeah, I think most cinematic 2D platformer go towards at one point. Either horror or sci-fi, but yeah, what happens is that the course will very short term will go to make the player comfortable with an atmosphere and then take it away. So now that Elo has been kidnapped, we're on the tail of the aliens. Even though here the main point of the game which I'm not gonna spoil, but the main thing is, are they really aliens? Like, what is this menace? I mean, here would be what the reviews would call stealth segments, but yeah, as you can see, that's pretty straightforward. I'm just like crouching in the bushes and then I'm just continuing on my path. There's a few of those moments, but again, they just serve the purpose of solving a puzzle and continuing on your path. It's not really about sneaking around. Which is what I don't agree with a lot of reviews saying that the stealth element wasn't that great. I don't think it's even there, the stealth element, so I wouldn't consider it a problem. But there's another gameplay element which I think is a little bit more, not really a problem, but a little bit more stale. Up. Probably good to go into. Hopefully take a look at if I manage to reach some of the segments, but I think I should. As you can see here, the game is setting up Lana to be basically defenseless against the alien menace. Setting up to be the classic soul survivor. Yeah, exactly. There's a sudden shift from clear day, a little bit of almost looks like a town fair, but yeah, general market. Then it goes right away to dark, to being careful of actually dying because the robots see you. Here's one mechanic that will come back several times, that of destroying these little wooden barriers to either let little Mui through or ourselves through. So again, I'm sneaking around here, but as you can see, there's not really much I have to be afraid of, just really taking your time. There's usually just one monster per screen. A couple perhaps. Sometimes, but rarely. So, overall, I wouldn't say that there's really stealth elements, but I'm going to shut up about stealth elements. I think you got my point. My point is that I don't think there's stealth elements in Planet of Lana. So we're going to swing on the rope, obviously. Get up there and climb a little bit. Yeah, Limbo is clearly a reference here, but I would say there is another game which I'm going to reference a little bit later that I think Planet of Lana is inspired by, even though they don't really mention it in interviews, so perhaps it's like an indirect inspiration, let's say. Also, some reviews complain of those little quiet, those little quiet moments that you can see here, where nothing's happening and you just as they said, going from left to right. Hello, Nicholas. You're here for the spam, I know. For the spam and the Shingeuru. But yeah, honestly I really like those little moments going from left to right. I think they make the game feel a little bit more special. They provide little narrative backbone, a little bit of strength to the characters. Like this little cutscene here. Music swells, title drop. Yeah, this is really cinematic. Even though I'm not especially fond of the term cinematic platform, but we're going to talk a little bit about it later, I guess. In that there's a lot of narrative in the game that's done. It's Elo. With an I think. Hello to everyone who's just joined. Again, she seems a little bit too worried for Hilo to just be a friend, but again, it's just my theory. I don't know. We'll have to ask someone from Wishful to give us the definitive answer, I guess.
Hilo?
I mean, she calls him, even though here it doesn't really make sense. So that I don't think Hilo's just ending. I mean, it's pretty. Oops, wrong button. I mean, it's pretty clear that Elo is the one point of reference in Lana's overall life, so he is important either way. So, but again, there's a lot of little details here that I like. Again, nothing is happening, but do we really need as players something to always be happening all the time? I think it's the little quiet moments that give a lot of depth also to the narrative. I mean, you don't really need to something always been happening all the time, especially in a game like this. You can just take in. Breathe in. Take a breath, touch grass. Oops. I think I came out a little bit too early, yeah. No. That was really lucky. Yeah, Another World is clearly a reference point here. I mean, Another World is, what, 31 years old now? 91, if I remember correctly. 32, so 32 years old. And, again, Planet of Lana doesn't really do anything new as compared to Another World. I mean, there's the whole companion bit, which we'll get to in a while, but yeah. But again, you don't really need to do anything new as compared to Another World. I mean, Eric Chai was inspired by a lot of different things here, as opposed to the dev studio. It was inspired by Dragon Ball. It was inspired by Dune. I think here the inspirations are definitely more on the gameplay side. You know, kind of little wholesome little manga. Here we can see an homage to Tomb Raider, of course. Whenever there's a crate that can be moved. Well, I've already forgotten this puzzle, which is pretty bad for my short-term memory. Um, oh yeah, we need the other crate up there. Okay. Yeah, the single black monster definitely reminds us of the whole getting chased by the monster at the beginning of another world. That's very true. Yeah, Nicholas is referencing the maps. So let's talk about this a bit. I played this game twice, almost from beginning to end, and I didn't find any collectibles, nothing. And then today I was talking to Nicholas, whom he reviewed the game as well, and he said, actually he wrote, I found a couple maps. That's the collectibles. And I said, what maps? What collectibles are you talking about? And yes, apparently there's collectibles. PR confirmed this, but I didn't find any. I'm not sure if we will find any in this playthrough. Probably not. So that made me feel bad in that my Arcor Gamer license was expired since a couple of years. An army of Mui, that's almost the Bjork song. And if you complain once more, you'll deal with an army of Mui. That's a joke I probably like 0 people got. But it's fine. It's fine. My jokes are obscure as my stream, so that's fine. So, oops. Okay, that was a wrong approach, definitely. Okay. So he stops. Again, as you can see, the puzzles are, I think, pretty much well integrated with the world. They make sense, they're not forced, like we don't pick up weapons or use anything that might feel... Okay, so he stays down for a little, very limited time. Was I supposed to make that jump? I think I was. Probably just jumped too early. Okay. So it's interesting that a lot of modern 2D games do this, that they basically do not really give the character any weapons. Here we never really get any weapons, which I think is the right choice in that, probably Nicholas agrees with me, is that Planet of Lana really feels like a non-violent game overall. Oh, there's the map! Yay! I found one! Nicholas, are you proud of me now? We confirmed that the maps exist. There's 10 of them, Jesus. That's a lot. I wonder where are they? yeah. Arcor Gamer license restored. Yeah, so another big part of the game is that I'm still allowed to review games. Yay! Nicholas is not crazy. Yes. So another big part of the game is that you're basically using these little, which I'm not sure that they're part of the world. They're not like alien technology. You basically use them like buttons, but you need them to be pressed, of course. So what we do here is use the little body of the boar, cycle boar, to keep the switch pressed. Then we use this. Again, it all feels very natural, very integrated in the world. It makes sense. It doesn't take the player out of it. Which I think is the right design choice for the game. That if you're going to spend so much time on giving the player the design of the world, making them feel an integral part of the world, and this also reconnects to the sections where nothing is happening, which some complain about, I think it makes sense that you want them to not be taken out of the world. Yeah, amazing art direction for sure, yes. That it feels inspired by, yeah, by Ghibli, by a little bit by Ico, Shadow of the Colossus also maybe. But it's also its own thing. You don't really look at this and say, oh yeah, that's Ghibli. There's Ghibli inspirations here and there, but... And here we meet Mui, which is a huge part of the game, of course. So I think I'm supposed to take this down. And it's also another nice touch, which will come later in the game, that these little crates here are solar powered, so you can actually switch them off if you cover this. Okay, I'm doing a little mess with the controls, so we're going to bring this over here. Lift it up. Also, as you can see, of course, no one is speaking English or any language that exists. Again, another, I think, great idea which plays into the whole another world, excuse the pun, design that we're going for here. In that it feels familiar, but it also feels distant, because you don't want it to feel too familiar, otherwise you're going to say, oh, I recognize this, this is part of this, blah blah blah. You want it to be some distance between the world that you wrote and the one that you live in, I think, if we're going for the fantasy sci-fi vibe. Because a world with too many rules would take too much time to explain to the player, it would take them out. Again, here it established a very playful relationship already from the beginning. I mean, we barely know what the little creature is, but we already know what he is really all about. It is really all about. By the sound design. Also sound design done in by an Italian guy. Also used Italian voice actors, which was a surprise when I saw the credits. So we can say that the game is dubbed in Italian by default. So as you can see here, Mui already gives us a direction of what he is going to do for the rest of the game, which is help us, luckily. And the dev team, there was an old interview on Wireframe magazine, and that they really spent a lot of time on making Mui feel right in the world, that the artificial intelligence made sense, that it wasn't going to help all the way, that it felt like it was really a creature in the world, but you could not control it directly, just give it orders. Again, this is also a great idea, a great pullback, that the game engine allows them to make the scene breathe, which is, again, a little nice touch. Which, again, you might call it cinematic, but I don't know. Do you shoot in this game? No, you don't. It's non-violent, I would say. I mean, you kill a few things, but I mean, overall, I would say it's pretty much non-violent. I mean, like we killed the boar before. But that's really the exactly. You don't shoot, so it's not fun. You don't kill anyone, so you don't have a gun. No guns, no fun. Here again, another scene which is used to reinforce really the relationship between Lana and Mui, because before, yes, we saved Mui from the trap, but we did not. Oops, I might have. Yes, I might have done that. Yes, as I was saying, we saved Mui from the trap before. He was already in the trap, so it didn't really. Oops. Okay. Didn't really have that same feeling of saving it. So we're going to do that again, but this time for you. So I'm going to bring this over here. Then take my time. Wait until the monster is out. Monster can reach, so we're safe. Mui gives us the little rope, and then we're off. And here they're just going to stick together for most of the rest of the game, I would think. So this is the end of chapter 2, going to chapter 3. And it begins with a little flashback scene, as you can see from the little vintage filter. So you can see we're going through the now familiar places that we saw before. And here again, I think maybe the initial part could have been done a little longer. I mean, instead of making the rest of the game longer, so more, let's say, gameplay, would have been interesting to see a little more meat in the introduction. Again, it's really quick; it just goes very straight from dark, light places, blah blah blah. The fair, the marketplace, to whoa, aliens attack, everyone is getting kidnapped. Oh god, what do we do? Perhaps 10 minutes, 15 minutes of introduction, that would have made a little more sense in the general terms of things, maybe. Flashback like a ride. Here they finally present each other. Chat going crazy for Mui. As you can see, there's a little pet button, which honestly I barely used. I have to be frank, I don't know about Nicholas. I frankly forgot that I had it. But again, here we go. Little pet to Mui. And another pet, why not? I like did it maybe once and then I completely forgot about it. Like again, this is where I think the game got maybe some inspiration from A Boy and His Blob, and not the original NES game, which is really a puzzle game, a kind of early co-op puzzle game, but rather the remake, which I don't know if anyone played, which was, let me sorry, just stop 2 seconds. The Wii remake was 2007, no, 2009. Okay, so a little bit more recent. I very much like the game. Oh, the Game Boy one. Yes, you're right. It was also Game Boy. I very much like the remake because it had some very similar vibes to Planet of Lana, which I don't know if it was an accident. The graphics is also vaguely similar. So if anyone doesn't know A Boy in His Blob, in A Boy in His Blob, you're yeah, a little boy obviously, which makes friends with this alien creature. So it's based on Earth, even though there's a little bit of an alien invasion on Earth too. I think there's not really a lot of plot in the game, and you're using the alien powers to solve puzzles and basically progress in the game. So it's a little bit different, it's a little bit more puzzle game than just 2D platformer. But there's also a pet button, and the relationship between the two characters is very similar to Planet of Lana. So perhaps someone played it, I don't know, but that's definitely something. You can't pet robots, but you can't pet the. Okay, can I remove my cursor? No. Oh, there's also a shrine. Wait. Oh, now I got a shrine thing. Okay. So okay, if I could remove the mouse, but it's not. It's not moving. Okay. Sorry. I hope that the mouse is not too in the way. Okay, so that was wrong. And again, the good design decision here that I think the devs did is that you can actually basically forget about Mui. In that Mui, of course, is the way you solve most puzzles, but it does really its own thing. You don't really need to say, tell it, go here, go there, follow me, don't follow me. Mostly does its own thing. Now the game's telling us, yeah, a little bit of stop and follow, but there's really limited control over Mui, which I think makes sense, because I think Mui has to do its own thing. Mui has got to do Mui things. He's not concerned over human stuff too much, obviously. Why? And another thing I complain about in the review, I'm going to talk since nothing important is happening, in that I feel the relationship between the two could have also used a little bit more backbone, a little more strength. Most of the strength of the relationship comes from the gameplay, which it's a perfect decision. I love it. I think that's what you want to do. But perhaps a little bit more, not really drama, but yeah, something that connects them a little bit more than just they met and they're just going together. That would have been interesting to see, at least to attempt. So what we want to do here is tell Mui to stop on the pressure thing, if it comes here. No, Mui, no. Nope, it's not. The moment I said, oh, Mui does his own thing, it's not doing his thing. Okay, okay. Now he's doing it. No, I'm not going to kill off Mui. As you can see, he's pretty agile. So I love the little quirky things that Mui does. Some little meows and stuff. I wouldn't call it meows, but you know what I mean. And Lana laughs. That's really cute, and I think that really helps with the relationship. I would have loved to see a little bit more of those kind of indirect relationship things. Mui, please, don't make us look bad in front of the public. Okay. We have a little audience here, so come on. He's a monkey cat. Oh, that's an interesting take. It does look a little bit like a monkey cat, yes. And if going back to both Another World and Art of Darkness, which is this, yeah, as I said, a sort of spiritual sequel to Another World by Eric Chai, which uh-oh. He's not going... Yeah, as I was saying, incredibly complicated development history, but again, both games do have that kind of companion vibe. It's like Eric Chai probably would have added a companion if he could have, of course. I mean, 1991 technology would have been impossible to do it. For Out of Darkness, there's that kind of friendly alien race in the game, but I think there's a couple of times that you can actually use them to solve puzzles. But again, it's been a while, and that game was incredibly dark and unpleasant overall. So, Out of Darkness, I tend to forget that I played it through to the end for some godforsaken reason. Which is really what drew me to Planet of Lana. Planet of Lana is really pleasant. It's a joy to play. Even though when you're stuck, you might get mad. Because, of course, we're gamers, we get mad. But it's always a joy. Because of the little things and the little details. So here we introduce another thing that I read comments that it doesn't work, it's confusing. I think it's pretty straightforward. So basically what you're doing is you're pointing where Mui has to go. Which I think is pretty comprehensible, and you tell it to go there, goes Pamaki, then you press another button, and it does its little rope action thing. That's it. I think it works. I mean, it is a little bit limiting in that, for example, I can tell him like to go down. I would have to go closer and then even no, I actually can't tell him to go down. Okay, fine. So he's got some limitations, sure. But I wouldn't say it doesn't work. It's okay, it works. Could have been done better, could have been done worse. I think it's okay overall. Yeah, Lana doesn't skip shoulder day, for sure. Yeah, she might be defenseless, but she does work out. As you can see, Mui pretty much just goes its own way. Fleetwood Mac style. So of course what you want to be careful with is not to make Lana jump too high, because there's fall damage. Oh, the mouse has gone away. Great. Good news. There's fall damage, so if she falls from too high, she will bite the bullet, die. As you can see, we're shifting mood again. There's little creatures here that don't really serve any purpose. They just show you that will hide under a rock, and then I remember they moved. No, I guess I remember wrong. Okay. There's not a lot of these little moments where we get a glimpse of creatures that inhabit the world, which it's a bit of a shame. I think I could have used a little more. But it's fine. So we want to be careful with that big rock because it looks to be friendly, but it's not. It won't hurt us, but it will actually eat Mui for some... I mean, for some reason. I guess it's just the way of nature. Mui. It was about to be grabbed. It saved itself by just 1 or 2 seconds. Okay. So that's another big mechanic of the game, the whole Mui chewing ropes, which are very nicely indicated by this little yellow ribbons, which again, it's a good idea. Might not really be, very realistic that all cables have a little yellow thing, but again, as As all people will say, it's a video game. Respect.
Hola.
I don't think we can jump from here. I actually don't think I ever played this early chapter. Okay, yes, we're supposed to make Mui go here.
Hello, Mui.
He goes there, he waits there, so he's activated for us a little platform which you can use.
Hola. Ima, Mui.
No, I think that was it. I think we can go.
Hola.
Yeah. Again, strangely enough, even though I'm a fan of the 2D platformer, which has strong world design and character design, I wasn't really a fan of Limbo. I mean, I liked it, but I wasn't really crazy about it. I think there was something about it that wasn't entirely convincing. Perhaps a little bit of the art design, which was interesting, but didn't really go that far to make me say, yes, let's play this until the end. Okay, so now here we're doing exactly what I told you earlier about the solar powered panels that we need to cover. So we need Mui to jump here, take the car, little primitive wooden car, bring it over here, cover this, and it's turned off. So now we can tell Mui to go up.
Hola, Mui.
Oh, I think I did that too soon. I think I need to go up and do something first. Okay, never mind. Let's try again. But it's not activated. Wait. Nope. I don't think there's anything else up here. But I can do this. Wait. So we can actually tell Mui to wait for us here, so place him in the right spot. We don't want him to chew on the bit until we've covered the solar panel. Which we're going to do now, and then that's the puzzle solved.
Hello, Mui.
Yeah, strong Pamaki. I like that there's different tones that she can use with Mui depending on the moment. I mean, overall, I think these kind of platformers really work on the basis of their universe building, the strong of the character design. Here also the sound design, soundtrack, which is of course pretty well done. made by the Shadow of the Colossus composer. Uh-oh. The stealth segment. I also like that when in the presence of enemies, she will whisper, and also Mui is a little bit quieter. Again, little nice little details.
Olai.
For example, one interesting example of the 2D modern 2D platformer, which I'm going to call it, is Little Nightmares. I haven't played 2. I've played the original Little Nightmares, and Little Nightmares. It's similar to Planet of Lana in that it's a short experience, but the problem I had with Little Nightmares is that really the best bits come right at the end. The rest of the game, it's not really memorable. Then it explodes at the end with a lot of very unique segments, a lot of striking imagery and terrible, disquieting and disturbing sequences. Which, if the old game had been like that, which I understand probably, yeah, it wouldn't have the same effect, but it was a little bit plain for like 2 or 3 hours, and then the last 45 minutes, which were pretty great. We see another example of a puzzle where we have to use the same things that we used before, but it's a tiny bit more complicated. And that problem here is that the rock raises this platform, but we do need to bring the crate. Over there. Also, like, there's a little bit of physics involved. Not exactly 100% accurate. It's not really the objective here. But as you can see, the crate, of course, doesn't pass over here because the rock is lifting up this tiny segment here, so we need to for it to move. We're going to over here.
Ima.
Tell Mui to wait a bit. It's gradually building up on things that you already seen and already know. Which is the right kind of puzzle design, I think. Which was probably the biggest problem I had with Another World, which I know. Easy to critique a game which is 32 years old, I know, but yeah. Now, I'm referring to the problems I had back in the day, so... Which, okay, I didn't play it in 91. The puzzles in Another World did come out of nowhere a bit. It wasn't really a gradual build. Which made sense because if you read back on the development history of Another World, basically Eric Chai was making it up as he went along. He didn't really have an idea from the start. He just went from the start and slowly built up the game as he went. But he was basically just doing it alone, so it makes sense. Today you could never do that, especially a small indie team could never like make up a game as it went along. Would be interesting to see, but a little more difficult to do for sure, and to get a contract with the publishers.
Olej.
And I think also a great thing that Planet of Lana does is never really wastes your time. Again, there's collectibles, as you've seen. I completely missed them the first time around, but we've seen that there's collectibles. But again, they're so well hidden that you don't really remember that they exist unless you're really on the hunt for them. So all the bits in Planet of Lana, I think, all make sense as a whole, because there's not really a lot of time that the game wastes. Some reviewers could argue that those moments where nothing happens are wasted, but I don't think they are. I don't agree at all. I'm going to wait a second for the robot to look the other way. And then we'll continue. So as you might have guessed, what we need to do now is again use Mui's ability to jump on ropes. In the right moment. And that's it.
Olej, Mui.
So we'll kill the robot, but I want to say that counts against the non-violent nature of Planet of Lana. Of course, we're not really told that much about Lana or Elo or any of the other characters, which is basically just one more that we're going to meet later. Which we might think works against the player emotional attachment to the characters, or works in favor. I think it depends overall. I think, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, a little bit more meat, especially at the beginning, would have worked better, because if we're going to spend the whole game looking for Elo, we need to have a little bit more information on what connects the two. Of course, they're friends, we know that, but we could have had a little more meat at the beginning than just 3 minutes of introduction that was thrown into the whole alien kidnapping bit. So we were introduced to another mechanic of the game, in that now the switches can be used to light up areas of the world. So for example, you can tell Mui to wait,
Ima.
so that you have a little bit of an easier time instead of falling to your death.
Olej.
And we call it. I'm going to stumble in the dark for a couple of seconds. Then come to another switch.
Ima, Mui. Ima.
Oh, okay.
Toma aqui, Mui. Olai.
Now we come to the spider monster. Of course, the first one of the, I think, mandatory things you will want to have in your cinematic platformer is moon swings. So of course we want to go from well-lighted area to one that's darker, more foreboding. So here we're basically using the same trick as before, and making the spider come close. Then we use Mui to trap it. That is not going anywhere near where we are. We can pass through here. Then I go and I'll Mui out of the little wooden trap. What's happening? Hello, Lana, come on. I mean, we didn't really need a monster to come, I think. Okay. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a bug, which I didn't come the first time around. So nice that we got a live bug. Yeah, the screen wasn't moving. I think today it's having a little bit more trouble moving in time with the gameplay. That's fine. We got through it fine. Mui, come on. So again, here we're just guiding Mui to go through the usual stuff. Perhaps it's probably the window. Because the view seems a little bit cut off on the right. Might be my fault somehow. Here we get a little glimpse of some background, some environmental narrative, as you could say, a little bit of a background story. Here is actually a clue to one of the first real tough, I mean it's not really difficult, but yeah, the first real true puzzle of the game, which you can see up on the upper left and bottom right. But now I think it's going to become a little bit clearer, and I go through the next room. Yeah, this is sort of a big organ that you're supposed to restore and play, but we have to find clues. Okay. So the first clue is hidden right under the trunk. So each one of the little cards needs to place in the right position. This is a sort of almost classic adventure puzzle rather than a platform puzzle. So that's the one. So we saw 2 before, but we need another clue, which is, oops, right here. Now we need to work our way up a bit. Need Mui to come too.
Ima.
And there it is, up there. So we need to place this one right around here. Then the other 2, which of course I forgot. I had to go look back. I've only done this puzzle 3 times, so come on, got me some slack. So one needs to be placed 2, 3, 2, 2, okay. Let's see if I remembered. So it was 3, 2, and 2, 1, I think. Let's see if I did this correctly. Should have. And most of the puzzles in Planet of Lana are basically just one room, so you don't really need to go to backtrack or anything. Yeah, that should be correct. Yep. You should see the door open, but again it's cut off by the strange. Yeah, we should have seen that door open, but I mean, we heard that, so it's fine. And here we get a little new gameplay element. There's a couple of these through the game, which of course help because otherwise we get quite repetitive puzzles. But I think they could have worked out a way to just do the puzzles without adding any mechanics. So here basically what we're using is this kind of hypnotizing thing that Moon does, which you can control. And do this. And it's going to come in handy real soon. So what we want to do here, of course I already know what you're supposed to do, but what we want to do is cover up the light. So we use this little guy to go there. So now we can use the platform below as well. Go here. Again, overall, I think those kind of puzzles could have been done without really adding any new mechanics. I understand why they did it, so I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I like it. It's fine. But still, you know, having the puzzles already contained with everything you know at the start of the game is an idea that I like, that I prefer overall. And that's the end of another chapter. We got a little mood swing, so we're in the dark cave, now we're back in the light. But Planet of Lana takes place in a really short time frame as well, so don't. It's called even on the poster that I have beside me. It's called an Odyssey, but it's not an incredibly long or generation-spanning game. It's just it takes place over the course of perhaps one day. I wonder whether the other collectibles are. I've been wondering what did I miss in all these playthroughs that I did. So again, what we want here is to stand here, but that was wrong. So I'm going to bring this over a little bit to the left. There you go. There you go. Don't press this switch. We should be good to go. I mean, having all the puzzles to be sort of self-contained. Oops, I did. That was a terrible mistake. No, you have to come here. I think the puzzles are sort of self-contained at the beginning of the game. That's just the basic tool set that you give the player, and then they're just going to use them for the rest of the game. I think there's some value in that. Of course, you can modify this tool as the game goes on. But overall, I don't think the Planet of Lana adds a lot to its gameplay by having, first this hypnotizing mechanic, and then there's another mechanic later, which is kind of similar. They could have definitely just kept the original tool set, so just jumping and giving little Mui some directions, and that's it. I think it would have looked basically the same. But I understand, I mean, that there's people who complain about sections with nothing to do, so they probably were on the right track. I mean, I can understand why you would want to add a little bit more variety, let's say. So we're going to call Mui over here. Making it stand here so we can bring it up. And some of the puzzles will be about how can we bring Mui to point A to point B. It's going to be several of those, because the main thing is that I keep calling it he, but okay. It is your main way of solving some of the puzzles, so you need it to be mostly placed around ropes that need to be cut, blah blah blah, this kind of thing, and also ropes that need to be in your reach. For example, I referenced a Boyne's Blob earlier. Boyne's Blob works in that your main character has no powers at the start of the game and has no powers at the end of the game. All you need is what the Blob does. So everything gameplay-wise takes place from the perspective of the Blob, which of course is great because you can do basically anything with the Blob. You're only limited by the amount of beans that you have that give the blob jelly beans, and that they are used to make it do shapes, do other things. But it's definitely got a little bit of that vibe, that non-violent platformer, a little bit of cuteness in it. Also, I also forgot to pet Moyuki. We're going to do that after. Get rid of this guy here. So I think that there's a bit of a problem here, that I'm supposed to see a hole, but I don't see it. I think it's here. So we have a little bit of a technical problem here. Give me just a second. It's going to probably be huge on your screen, but give me just a second, otherwise we're not good. Wait. Still not right. Let me go ahead and do this. Okay. So I think it's a problem with the resolution. Sorry that you're seeing the... perhaps we don't need a... Wait. We don't need to do that. Perhaps we can just... Give me a second. We can just do this. Sorry about that. Okay. Should be back to normal, hopefully. Okay, yes. Sorry about that. Just... So what we need to do here is not go to the left, but send them over there. As you can see, you can control Mui even from further away. I'll make it go away. Then we'll wait for the monster to leave. And good to go. As always, you can use Mui to do this and continue. That's the end of another chapter. I believe I'll just play another little chapter and then I'll stop. I mean, I don't want to ruin your experience. Rightfully so, because there will probably be a lot of people playing it tomorrow. I wonder if it unlocks at midnight. Maybe it unlocked already for some people. But yeah, what you're seeing here is another bit of lore. Let's say that our little friend here is not a fan of water. Yeah, being a cat, I guess. So what we want to do here is help him get across. Keep saying him. Help it get across. So there's gonna be some couple puzzles about this, about helping little Mui across, which of course we need it to get the rope down so we can continue. Again, these kind of puzzles are not anything special overall, but they tie in into the whole relationship between Mui and Lana, of mutual trust, of helping each other in the even the most difficult moments.
Pamaki.
Again, sorry about the mouse, it's probably going to go away in a bit.
Hola, Imui.
Yeah, unfortunately I can remove it. If I move it, it jiggles it a bit, but doesn't move. So we now need Mui to stand over there. Oops, that was a swing and a miss. Let's try a swing and a hit. Okay. I don't know, it's a bug. I think it's more that you're not supposed to keep switching controls. So basically, if I alt tab or something with the keyboard, it feels that I'm trying to switch control over with the gamepad. Which, by the way, I would recommend using a gamepad with this. This is another mechanic. Or you can use the... This is a good idea, for example, that you use a mechanic which you just picked up in order to fill up with water a little lake. And again, that's where we need Mui to go. So what we need to do here is do a sort of... I like that the fish disappear completely and then reappear. I forgot about this puzzle too. I mean, I did it really recently. Oh no, Lana is not climbing up. Wow, I'm finding a lot of bugs tonight. Okay, there she goes. That's what always happens, you know. It worked before, now it doesn't. The problem with drying the pond is that if you dry the pond, Mui can indeed pass. He actually doesn't want to. He actually doesn't want to come. Nope, he's not coming. Yeah, I think you need to fill the pond. Yes, that's really stupid. I mean, each time I try to complicate it, but it's actually really just about doing this, and then Mui will just jump. Each time I think it's always something more complicated, but I think that's it. He's not coming. I remember that I think you're supposed to do something with this little platform. Okay. Oh no. We're trapped. Oh no.
Vamos aqui. Vamos aqui.
I mean, it's not supposed to be
Cielo?
that difficult.
Olá. Olá.
Well, that's a nice case of being trapped in a puzzle which I solved already 2 times. Now you can't take Mui because if you take Mui then there's no one emptying the
Cielo.
pond.
Olá.
Well, this is my punishment for saying, oh, the puzzles are easy. Makes things worse. I solved this already 2 times. Okay, so let's take this a bit of time. So the only thing we can do here is either empty the pond or fill it up. There's no trunk that we need to use. There's nothing.
Cielo.
Let's try a little bit.
Olá. Olá, Mui. Olá. Olá, Mui.
No, it's not coming.
Cielo.
Maybe we're supposed to fill it to the brim. I don't think so.
Olá, Mui.
Nope, it's not coming either.
Olá.
Okay, that's embarrassing. Okay, I think I got it. It's actually I mean, the point is that you're supposed to stand over here, then you do this, and then you do this.
Olá.
Yeah, that's it. The point is that if you do this while you're on the other side, that of course Mui doesn't want to do it. So he only does it. Yeah, he only does it when you're on the right side of the ball, so to speak. I kept forcing him to do something which it didn't make sense, so that was my bad. Okay, let's go ahead, finish this chapter. Okay, here it's closed, so I guess not doing that. Five minutes of being stuck at a puzzle which I already solved 2 times. Yay. Yay for me.
Olá. Cielo, Mui. Olá.
I think there's a couple more puzzles in this chapter. of the same getting Mui across the water kind of stuff. So the puzzles are a little bit self-contained, I would say, that they're basically just do this thing in this particular section and then basically don't do that again. So now we take it in a few different phases for we swing across the ropes. Then we drop down here.
Olai.
And we go Mui,
Hello?
hypnotize the thing. Drop the level down so that we can swim underneath. So these ones I remember. So again, same thing as before. We need to get Mui across the water, so what we need here is the trunk. Here it is. So we, oops, wrong way. Do this, grab the trunk. Nope, wrong way. And bring it back to Mui so that he can cross without getting his little black feet wet. I was about to drown or Mui, but we got there.
Olai.
Game also saves a lot, so it's fine. Even if you do a little bit of trial and error, there's no big problem.
Hello. Olai, Mui.
Again, as you can see here, also the camera pulls back to give us a little more of an idea what's around us. Relics of the distant past. Little reference to what took place before our time. Again, there's not a lot of background information, which is fine, of course, because it lets each player make up their own mind about the background and the story. You know, perhaps here and there a little bit more story bits would have helped to have a little bit more of fleshed out universe for Planet of Lana. Okay, so this is another section. It's basically just the same as before. We're going to do just a little bit more puzzling, but I'm going to stop here because I think you get. Yeah, going back to what I was saying, I think overall the inspirations from classic 2D platformers of old are clear, but at the same time they're going for different design directions in that they gradually built on the gameplay that they oh let's bet they gradually built on the gameplay that they had before, but at the same time they don't really do anything new. One thing that I wasn't crazy about, which is probably in this chapter, but we're not going to reach it, is the quick time events, which I feel are a little bit outdated. I mean, since the whole game is really about keeping it firmly planted in the universe, I feel that quick time events do take the player out of the element of gameplay and the world. Feels that you're just mashing buttons to to hypnotize a monster or run away from a monster, which in an action scene they make sense, but would have been better to directly control Lana during these sequences rather than just use a quick time event. I think so, but I mean there's just a couple of those, I think three times that they've used in a strong way, so it's not a big deal, but still I would have preferred something a little bit more fleshed out. Probably it wasn't enough time to do something a little bit more fleshed out. But overall, I stand by my rating of 8.5. It's a solid game, strong character design, solid sound design, a strong sense of world, which could have used a little bit more work and fleshing it out. Gameplay, again, I like the little bit relaxing moments as opposed to the puzzles and stuff. But yeah, you will get the opportunity to try it tomorrow, if or maybe in an hour and a half, who knows, and you make up your own mind. But yeah, that was it for me. Just a little stream to look at a new game for once, rather than just the old games. So, thank you for everyone who joined. Thank you for everyone who stayed. Thank you for everyone who left. We're going to see each other the next Friday, or this Friday. So in a few days, with a little bit more of old and obscure stuff, which is our bread and butter, or our spaghetti and meatballs, or our pineapple and ham pizza, whatever. Okay, again, thanks for joining and take care. Have a good week. See you soon.